What's going on, guys? Don Marino here, back with Newsweek number 8. Let's just get into it. So we got a few stories this week, some interesting stuff, some new phone stuff. Obviously we have a big virus going around right now that is putting a big hit into the tech industry, a big hit into Silicon Valley. So a lot of people affected. It's a very interesting time right now, with the coronavirus. A lot of misinformation is being spread, and that's where our first story takes us. So since people are worried about the coronavirus, worried about how dirty phones can be and how this is something that we touch very often throughout the day, Apple came out with an announcement saying it's okay to wipe your phones down with antibacterial wipes. That is okay. It's not going to damage the phone at all. And also, Google Play Store and the Apple Store both cracked down on some apps that were spreading misinformation. I do think this is really good on Apple and Google's end, and I also do think that the way Amazon and Twitter and Facebook and how they're all handling this, understanding that the spread of misinformation has been very bad over the past few years. Whenever something comes up, especially like this, something that can cause a pandemic, usually all these social media platforms will just let people run with it as far as they want to run with it. And this really does spread a lot of misinformation. More people nowadays check their Instagram feed, their Twitter feed, and their Facebook feed much more often than they go on and they turn on the news or check a news site. So for this fact, it is very good on their part that they're really trying to bring awareness to people that these things are false. They're really trying to push the fact that they're going to take down any false information off of their websites, including like Google Play and the Apple Store taking these apps down. Alright, so moving away from the dark and gloomy stuff, we're moving into iPhone 12 rumors. So obviously we saw the iPhone 9 already, or we haven't seen it, but we already know what it's going to be. And it's going to be the second version of the SE. So the iPhone 9 is basically going to be in a shell of like an iPhone 7 or iPhone 8. However, it's going to have the specs similar to an iPhone 11 with the main camera from the iPhone 11 on that phone. And that one's going to be starting at about $400 from the rumors we've heard. And that's the phone we know about so far. However, that's not the one everyone's excited for. Everyone's excited for the iPhone 12. So what we've heard about the iPhone 12 so far is that it's going to be one of the biggest, shakeups that Apple has ever done. I do think they're going to do some big things. They're going to make some leaps. Kind of like what we saw with Samsung. Samsung made a pretty sizable leap from their phone, the S10 to the S20. And most phones are going to the standard 120 hertz refresh rate screen, and I think Apple's going to go that route too. I do also think that Apple in their Pro version will implement 5G millimeter wave. However, even though this is something that they will probably put in their phone, one, it'll demand more of a premium and give it that more pro feel that's going to make people want to spend that extra $200-$300 on a Pro version versus the regular one. However, 5G right now is more of a gimmick in a phone than an actual thing that you can use. Unless you are very close to cell towers that have millimeter wave, unless you know exactly where they are, you work very close to one, or you live very close to one, it's not a viable thing yet. And honestly, it's not going to be viable for the next few years, the way we're seeing it ramp up with the fact that millimeter wave is only traveling up to 30-40 feet before it really starts to die. So I do think they will put it in their Pro version. I do think it's more of a gimmick feature, but it is something that they need to put in there to kind of say, hey, this is the best that we can do. So of course, high refresh rates in 2020, that's the trend. Apple's always had this, their phones are super smooth, they're super buttery. They even got this feeling out of phones with the 60 hertz refresh rate. They were always the phone that felt the most snappy. They were always the phone that felt, the most responsive. However, now with phones coming out with 120 hertz regularly, and even on some lower end phones that cost almost half as much as the iPhone Pro did, we have the ROG that was about $800 right now. So with the trend of going to the high refresh rate screens, most likely we'll see 120 hertz refresh rate screen, and I do think it'll look very good. I think Apple will do it well because of their software to support it. The interesting thing will be if Apple can create the software to match 120 hertz and to create that battery life that they've always had. right now we see when we're comparing phones with 120 hertz like the Samsung S20 to something like an iPhone 11 or iPhone 11 Pro, we're seeing that the S20 is dying much quicker, about 25% faster than the iPhone. However, it will be interesting to see if Apple can continue that gap while also having that 120 hertz refresh rate. Camera wise, I don't see them doing anything different. I don't see them copying Samsung with their space zoom camera. Maybe putting a better optical zoom, something maybe 5-10 times optical zoom, because the more optical zoom you have, the better it's going to look in that mid-range area. But I don't see them improving a lot on the other two cameras, the main and then the wide angle camera. So there's also rumors that the iPhone 12 screen is going to be a little bit more waterfalled. Maybe not quite to the extreme that we've seen Samsung do in the past and what we're seeing Oppo do right now, but maybe to the effect of maybe what the Samsung S20 has, where it has a slight curve around the edges. It's a nice look. It makes the phone look a little bit more futuristic. However, as long as they stay away from that extreme curve that gives you those accidental presses, that makes it hard to hold in the hand, I think Apple will be okay. So sticking with Apple, we also have some rumors of some overhead headphones coming from them. So we've heard these rumors since about 2018, and recently in the iOS 14 update, there has been some code found to support these headphones. So that would give us the inkling that this year, along with the iPhone 9, along with the iPhone 12, they will also be announcing some over-the-ear headphones. This makes perfect sense for Apple to do, given their overwhelming success with the AirPods and the AirPods Pro. These are headphones that blew up, they took off. During the holiday season, you couldn't find the Pros. They were the #1 most requested gift for Christmas. So it's definitely a good idea for them to do. It's definitely going to sell, and I'm interested to see what they look like and also how they sound, and obviously the price point they're going to come in at. My guess for over-ear headphones, they're going to do the whole noise cancellation. They're going to compete with something like the Bose or the Sonys, and I would guess around $300 to $350, maybe even higher for some Apple headphones. So TCL has given us another folding phone prototype. We got that really cool slide out, roll out display one that we talked about last week or 2 weeks ago. And now we saw this Trifold folding phone, where basically instead of just having the regular fold and getting a very small like mini tablet, it's a Trifold that folds 3 times out, where you get a full-size 10-inch tablet. In theory, this is a really cool idea. I do really like how TCL has been experimenting with this fold technology and doing really cool things with it. It is a thick phone. I don't see anyone carrying around this brick of a phone. I'm talking, it's like 3 iPhones deep. It is not a thin phone, and it has to weigh a hefty amount. Between the hinge mechanisms that have to be all metal, between the battery size that you're going to be holding around for a full-size tablet, I do think is a really cool idea. And like I said, I think it's really cool how TCL is constantly doing these really cool things, and what we see come to market and what we don't is going to be interesting, but it is also going to be cool because they're going to be able to have this wide range of things that they're going to come out with. Also, price on something like that, the price would have to be insane. We're seeing folding phones at $1,500, $2,000 right now for a Trifold folding phone. That would have to be like a $3,000 product if it came to market. And obviously the biggest thing they're going to have to figure out, which right now there's no support for, is going to be software. Because software for something that folds 3 times, folds into this full tablet, can fold out halfway, you can perch the screen. There's a lot of options, there's a lot of things that they have to work into software for something like this prototype. Let me know what you guys think. If they're able to slim it down, maybe 2 iPhones thick, and make it as heavy as maybe an iPhone and a half or 2 iPhones, would you guys want it? Would you guys like it? Would it be something you'd be interested in? A actual full-size tablet that can fold down into a phone? I don't know. I think it's a little bit too much, but I do think it's cool them taking this folding technology and doing what they can with it. All right, so moving away from smartphones, we're going into a electric skateboard company, Boosted. If you haven't heard by now, they're going out of business. They were the #1 like electric skateboard company in the world, really. They were known. Casey Neistat was on them. There was big YouTubers doing things with them from the jump, and I really think that it's interesting how all of a sudden, they're going out So supposedly what they're saying is that because of the tariffs with China, they've had to increase the cost of production by 25%, and this is really hurting their margins. Their skateboards are already very expensive. For I think their cheapest one, you're looking at $800 or $900 out of the box. That is already an expensive product, for something that's going to give you 10 miles of range, something where you can go and buy a bicycle, something where you can take the bus. If you really didn't need something like this, it does at one point become a luxury item, unless this is going to be your main source of transportation every day. With their cheapest product already starting at about $900, adding an extra 25% on top of that kind of hurts your margins. It kind of hurts, how much money you're able to make, and the fact that you're going to have to start charging more for your product. So the size of their team was about 130 people. They had to recently do some serious layoffs. We don't know exactly how many people they did lay off, but they were also working on a new project, which looks like it was an electric scooter. And with that, they dumped a lot of money, a lot of capital. They do want the company to continue. They're hoping that with other investors or with other, companies coming in and supporting them, or either maybe a buyout, that the company will be able to continue. However, people having a problem with orders that they've placed, months ago, or boards that they shipped in to get repaired, they're not able to they're not getting any response from customer service. On Twitter, they're not getting any response from Boosted Board. They're unable to connect with them and figure out what's going on with their orders, what's going on with the boards that they sent in that just to get repaired, and if they're able to even get a refund at this point. So it does suck for anybody who invested in a Boosted Board, that right now they're having trouble even contacting the company because of what they're going through. Alright, so the final story, I wanted to get into a little bit of next gen console talk. We don't have anything from Sony's corner, and we don't have any new updates from Microsoft. However, what we do have is that Microsoft is going to be holding a streaming conference on March 18th to talk more about their upcoming console. So it was going to be at the Game Developers Conference in San Francisco, but that was canceled due to the coronavirus. So they're planning on doing a streaming event on March 18th where they're going to be talking more about their console, probably more about the specs, more about the streaming service that we're going to see with it, probably displaying more gameplay, stuff like that. The thing that I think is crazy is that we still haven't heard anything from Sony. We haven't heard a peep from them. Everything that we've talked about up to now, specs wise, what the console is going to look like, all of this stuff has been complete speculation, has been completely found on rumors. So right now Microsoft is ahead of the game. They're ahead of Sony. I'm wondering if maybe the fact that Sony's waiting longer and they're going to have a conference more close to the release date, maybe that it would make more hype around their console because it's going to be closer to that release date, versus Microsoft announced it all the way, at the beginning of the year into last year, and that's going to force people to kind of remember Xbox, which I don't know. People already have allegiance to what console they're going to buy. Alright, so that's going to wrap up News Week number 8 for you guys. I really appreciate you guys checking out the video. I really appreciate, the recent growth on the channel. I've had a couple good videos. And also, I got my S20 right back here. I do have some cool videos coming out on that soon. I'm doing a camera comparison. I already did my first impressions. Throw that up here. So make sure you guys subscribe. Stay tuned for the S20 content. Stay tuned for all the tech news. Stay tuned for some gaming updates. I'm going to start doing some gaming videos. And I really appreciate you guys coming, checking out the channel, checking out Newsweek. Until I got something else for you. Thanks for watching.